Hello and welcome back to the Wheel Talk podcast. My name is Abby Mickey and I'm here with friends to talk about women's professional road cycling and, the Winter Olympics. Today with me is the full team. Gracie Alvin.
Hey, I'm wearing, I don't think you guys have seen it yet, I'm wearing a Wayne's World t-shirt because that was the closest thing I could find to hockey or ice sports related.
I love that.
Amazing. Loren Rowney.
G'day, everyone. I think Gracie just got that little bit cooler. The fact that she likes Wayne's World. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably it's definitely my top 5, if not my top 3 movies of all time.
My husband has no idea. And I'm wearing my shirt that Abby bought me last year. Can't say it in French. Maybe Georgie can, but everyone watches women's sports.
Yeah. That's timeless, that t-shirt.
Oh, it is.
It is. I'm surprised they didn't make one in Italian for the Winter Olympics, but Georgie Howe. Hello.
Hello.
What t-shirt are you wearing?
No, we'll see. I think I've done one up on Gracie with the ice hockey theme because I have a freshly cut mullet and I feel like that's pretty on brand.
That's very on brand, yeah.
Sorry, Mum.
It's the very in hairstyle at the moment, that's for sure. All right, well, We're here to talk about the UAE Tour. It looks really, really good. I mean, the sides especially.
You do pull it off
crisp.
well, Georgie.
Yeah. Thank you very much. It's always funny when they do a haircut and my hair was getting to the point, my hair grows up. Like it doesn't grow, like weight doesn't pull it down. It just keeps going up. And so like when I run and I'm not wearing a cap, like I did the other day, I can feel my hair bouncing on my head as I run.
That's good.
And then I get into the car and then I get into the car and it brushes the roof.
No.
Oh.
No.
All right. Well, we're here to talk about the UAE Tour, and we will probably talk about the Winter Olympics because we all love women's sport, and there's a lot of awesome things going on in Italy. But we'll start with the UAE Tour, the second World Tour stage race of the year, 3 sprint stages and 1 for the climbers. It was the Lorena Wiebes show for 3 days and then handed over to the GC riders for Elisa Longoborghini to take her 3rd UAE Tour win, her 2nd in a row. But a lot happened before that finish line. I think we should start with Wiebes because she won 3 stages of a 4-stage race. Not new for Wiebes, but man, she picked up right where she left off 2025 with just being completely unbeatable in the sprints.
Yeah, I think the big talking point and the most impressive thing for me was how she won those stages basically alone with one teammate helping here or there.
Yeah, like she was saying in the post-race interviews that she kept losing track of Baby G, Barbara Gracie, who's her like main lead-out woman. And those sprints were so hectic. I mean, we'll talk about the crash on stage 2 that took down Marlon Reusser, but the stages weren't as fast as they were last year. And so people were coming into the finish line, coming into the last 5 kilometers really fresh, which meant that a lot of people were in the bunch and it gets really squirrely. So she was losing track of her lead out train over and over, but it didn't phase her at all. She just surfed the wheels and she's got such a good kick that, I would say no one could come close, but Laura Gillespie came closer than most, especially on that 3rd stage.
Yeah, it was awesome to see Lara. It's cool like that she talk about Wiebes picking up where she left off. I feel like Lara has taken a step up from where she left off last year. But just briefly, Barbara Gruszki, Baby G, G-Shock, that is a sponsorship opportunity that you should go knocking. Get a Baby G on her wrist pronto.
Yeah. Are they in or out at the moment? I feel
like they're back. I feel like they can be back in. Look, Gracie, if mullets are in, and I tell you that they're in, Baby G's are going to be in. So
mullets are only in because of heated rivalry, though.
No. They've always been in. I'm sorry.
No, they're back in because of heated rivalry.
My colleague at work,
they're extra hot,
is new to this city, and she needed a hairdresser, and I offered her mine, and she said, "No, I don't think that we have the same style." And I said, "Yeah, okay. Well, you go sit in your turtleneck in the corner. I'm going to go get my hair cut."
Turtleneck.
That's really funny.
I love a good in or out.
Sorry,
of
I
the year.
derailed this conversation. Can we have it? Can we have a derailer award at the end of each year?
I think it's on brand that we just go off on our side quests. But yeah, like speaking of the sprints in UAE as we were, like Wiebes came out on top in every stage, but I mean Laura Gillespie for me comes out of this race as one of the most impressive riders of the race, and I think a huge part of that was the organization UAE Team ADQ had going into the sprints. Like they were completely dialed going into the sprints. You can tell that they have done a lot of work in their lead outs and as a team, and they were so organized. I feel like SD Worx Pro Time has a tendency to rely heavily on the strength of their riders and forego teamwork. And it works for them sometimes because their riders are just that strong. But as we've seen time and time again over the years, the rest of the peloton is really catching up to SD Worx Pro Time. And we saw that with UAE Team ADQ. And at the end of the stages, Wiebes still had the best sprint, but like UAE was so impressive, and I loved seeing Elisa Longoborghini with multiple kilometer long pulls on the front of the peloton with like she was stringing out the entire peloton, and she said going into the race she didn't know what her form was, and I was just like, oh my god, this girl. But it was so good to see Gillespie up there, and I think it'll give her a ton of confidence going into the classics when she has an even more specific lead out train, like when you've got, Megan Jastrab, who was signed specifically for races like the spring classics that Gillespie will thrive in and stuff like that. So just really exciting to see.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. That was the thing that I really noticed too, was the strength of that lead out, the commitment, the strength of the riders, of course, but just their celebrations at the end of every stage, even though they still hadn't won those sprint stages. They were really stoked with how she was performing, but also I think that they were stoked with their process as well. You could just tell that vibe was super high, that morale was there, and it was like gosh, we've done everything we can and we still can't beat her. It was more like, all right, we're getting closer. Cool. Like you could really tell that was like motivating them. So I feel like that's going to be really fun to watch, like you said, Abby, going forward into the next bunch of races, because sprinting, you're constantly hitting your head against the wall. I messed that up. We didn't get that right. I'm not strong enough. Oh my God, how do we even do this? And then finally you get it right and you do it. And, there's so many other factors that are out of your control. So as long as you can just stick to your own process as a team, keep that belief in your sprinters, it'll pay off eventually. And like Wiebes is ridiculous. Like she is so good to watch her this time. You're like, oh, she's just getting better. Like, Jesus, just to see what she does. She just was so out of position and she still found a way. She stays so calm. She floats around. She sees those gaps. She sees the moment. She goes right when she needs to go right. She goes left when she needs to go left. And you can see the decision making there that other riders wouldn't necessarily get right. And of course, that massive power, like she was winning those first two sprints by a long way. And that must be like pretty demoralizing as another sprinter to be like, yeah, how do we even beat her? But UAE, like, they're figuring it out. So yeah, very cool to see.
I mean, I think she is beatable. It's just going to take time. Like, it's not even that other teams need to be doing things differently. It just is going to take time chipping away at all the little things until someone like Laura is able to outsprint her.
I think it's just different tactics as well, not using the same play every time you go into the sprint finish. I think it was stage 2 when Kim Lacourt went really early and tried to make a jump, and that, threw a huge spanner in the works it was chaos. And Wiebes, she is incredibly strong. She's a once in a generation talent when it comes to sprinting. Not only can she sprint, she can climb. She was closing gaps herself and then still managed to open up her sprint. But to the point of the other teams getting closer, I think the more that we see these sort of tactics happening and creating a little more chaos in that way, there will be a point where she gets caught out, because in stage 3, she almost didn't get through the barrier, I believe it was stage 3. She just managed to slip through because that door almost closed on her. And unfortunately, oh no, it was at stage 1 where Maggie calls Lister, then the door shut on her, unfortunately. But you can see without the support, yes, she won 3 stages, but for me, it wasn't pure dominance of what we've seen before. We have to take into account the fact that Lotte Kopecky wasn't there either, and she has really become her right-hand woman. No discredit to Baby G, she's incredible, but the engine of Kopecky in those moments has been really crucial in the pure dominance of Wiebes. So, and from what we've seen from the Europeans, Kopecky just walked away with 3 titles. I think we're going to see the Kopecky of 2024.
We did seem to miss, that firepower, not just Kopecky, but Anna van der Breggen. She didn't end up starting that last stage. So she was probably battling illness the whole time through that tour. So she was they were kind of already a woman down. But I don't know. I'm not reading too much into SD Worx because they begrudgingly came to Australia and they know that they've got Wiebes to do well at the UAE, but like they don't need to send a totally on-form team to get that done. So, they're biding their time for the bigger races coming up. But yeah, they're going to have to be careful with how they work together, though, as Abby kind of alluded to.
Yeah. The difference between like UAE Team ADQ, who like Aliza called this their world championships, obviously like it's self-explanatory, the UAE Tour and UAE Team ADQ, versus SD Worx, who really like let's be honest, like they don't actually care about any races except the ones in Europe. And even then, there's only a handful of them that they actually really care about.
I would like to now move on to like just talking about just some of the teams that like the names that I didn't see up there that I would have expected to. So
Charlotte Cool,
Guazzini. With Guazzini, I mean, I'm no sprinter. I never was, but I'd be keen to hear from you guys who are. Guazzini like soft pedaled the last 5 pedal strokes of most stages. It's like she couldn't get into position and then sat up. Not sure if that's normal or.
I think part of it was just the like how hectic the finishes were, that like it's so early in the year, and like you look at what happened to Mess Peterson, who crashed in Valencia and now is has a broken wrist and a broken collarbone. Like that's like one of the worst situations you can be in as a rider going into the spring classics that are such a huge part of the season, and opening weekend is only like 2 weeks away. So for someone like Victoria Guazzini, who has bigger fish on the horizon, and when you're in a finish like something at the UAE Tour where it's such a pure sprint and you're up against Wiebes, like I wouldn't hold it against anyone that as soon as they see that they're not going to contest the sprint, to kind of pull the plug in a way, because it's not worth it. To be hargy-bargy in a sprint at the UAE Tour is not, being elbow to elbow at a sprint at the Giro or at the Tour. It's just not the same. The risk is not worth the reward. And so I mean, that's just my opinion, and I'm not a sprinter, so I might be completely wrong, because I would never get caught up in in a mess like a sprint in the first place. But that's just my assumption, like having talked to riders about these early season races, so close to the spring classics. I mean, I don't think that there are sprinters in the peloton who are up against Wiebes who feel like disheartened or demoralized by how good she is. I just don't think that's how a professional athlete's brain thinks. Like, yeah, you get on the start line up against Wiebes and you're like, oh God, she's really good. But I don't think there's a single rider who is a sprinter in the peloton who's like, man, I can't beat her. Like that's just not how the athlete's brain works, So I don't think that's it. I think it's more like a self-preservation tactic. And we saw in the second stage, because of how slow the stages were. I mean, Reusser put on her Instagram that she had a sub 100 watt average for stage 2 going into the sprint of stage 2, and that massive crash that like really tore through the peloton and took out a lot of riders. And I was talking to Allison after the sprint, and she was like, yeah, we were going so fast. I can't believe I get hurt. She credited her farmer's bones. But they were going so fast when that crash happened. And you do not want to be in that situation in early February.
No, but yeah, like it's a sprinter's race in some ways, even though not for GC. There's still 3 opportunities. And if you're a sprinter, that's 3 opportunities more than the European races. So I think any sprinter that's backing off in the sprints in UAE is not in a good headspace, because like you actually don't get that many pure sprint opportunities in Europe. So it's a waste if you don't like really learn from them and go full out for them and prepare for them. That's my opinion, because yeah, like there's actually not that many pure sprints coming up until we get into the tours. So like, yeah, for sure you want to save yourself for some of the spring classics, and that's important, but like it's still a world tour race. It's still pretty big to win a stage at the UAE if you can, or even place. So I don't know. I think every rider's got slightly different priorities, but a sprinter should be taking UAE very seriously.
I mean, I think Charlotte O'Cool is like the biggest, having won stages of UAE Tour against Wiebes, like the biggest maybe disappointment here, because she does have so limited opportunities with the type of rider she is. And on a new team, I think I would have expected, like, I don't, it's pretty often that a rider switches teams and they come into the new season with their new team on excellent form. And for Cool, I was really surprised to see her not really up there at all. But I think that could also be because Phoenix Premier Tech just wasn't organized as a sprinting team. They've never had to be like a pure sprint train before. And now they have one of the best sprinters in the peloton on their team. And I think that it just is going to take them a minute to organize and be able to support someone like Cool. And she's a rider, you know, like Gillespie, who needs the support like to be able to beat Wiebes. And that was one of the things that Picnic Post-Nel did so well to support Cool when she was able to beat Wiebes in races like UAE Tour and the Tour de France Femme avec Zwift.
That's so spot on. I was talking with one of my athletes. She is a sprinter, and we were just having the discussion that we are at that level, and we've talked about this on the podcast now, that if you don't have that support, it's very hard to compete for those top 3 spots these days. Like surfing wheels, it's very rare that a sprinter can surf wheels, Wiebes aside, and then get a result. I went back and watched the sprint finishes a few times and was focusing on different athletes, and you could see whenever they had to make those efforts to move up and get around and try and get on the right wheel of a Wiebes or the train of UAE, they just gassed. In the last couple of 100 meters, there's nothing left. So what Wiebes did a few times was phenomenal, the fact that she managed to move up. But you just simply can't compete in these big sprints now without full support and organization.
I mean, I think Wiebes also has like an abundance of respect from the peloton. When it's a sprint, you're not going to get in her way. Like, not that the peloton doesn't respect other sprinters, but she is like such a force at this point that I don't think, like, if she's trying to surf wheels, like, unless she's trying to take your teammate's wheel from you, which I don't think she would do, because she's quite a she's quite a respectful rider. Like, she's a sprinter, but like she doesn't have that god complex that a lot of the male sprinters seem to have. And you can see that in all of her post-race interviews. Like, they always ask her, like, are you going to win again tomorrow? And she's always like quite like, oh yeah, you know, I hope so. Like, she's so down to earth. But like, I think if you're, you know, if you are a rider like in the sprint and she's trying to get on the wheel, like, it's not like you give it to her, but you're not going to fucking fight her for it, you know? Sorry, I swore. Sorry, Mom.
It's all right. My mum won't be upset because it wasn't me.
Yeah. Just lastly, there is a bit of respect there for her, but I get a bit annoyed sometimes that some riders don't fully have awareness to close the door and to like stick to the fence. Yeah, like you shouldn't be leaving any room on the fence because whether or not it was Wiebes there, you just shouldn't be leaving that room for anyone. So it's just like, I think there's a few tweaks that other teams can do just with how they run their sprints, just to make sure that she's always taking the longer line, or anyone else for that matter.
All right, well, let's talk stage 4 because it was the first like big world tour. Well, I mean, Corkscrew was big, but this was a lot of big names up against each other on a very wide open climb with, you know, Tour de France Femivec Swift winner Kasia Niewiadoma, Giro, 2-time Giro winner, 3-time Giro winner Elisa Lamborghini. Wait, 3 times? 2 times? No, 2 times. Two times. My brain isn't working. Everyone can hear that I'm sick, right? Okay. Multi-time Giro winner Elisa Lamborghini. We had Kim Lacourt, pink, yellow jersey wearer at the Tour de France Femivec Swift. Like an abundance of names that could have challenged on this climb. Obviously, Anna van der Breggen, like Gracie said, didn't start that final stage, but she was expected to be in there as well. So I think like a lot of names we're going to be talking about in the climbing races to come up against each other. And I was excited to see how it would all shake out, especially that because Elisa was really downplaying her chances of a victory going into this stage. But we had some early attacks. Amanda Spratt threw down. She really started things off. And then as soon as she attacked, it really blew apart when Elisa got to the front, broke into small groups that did almost come back together, but it was 5 riders up front with Elisa, Femke de Vries, Monica Trinca-Colonel, Kasia Niewiadoma, Niamh Fisher-Black, and Elisa. It was really Elisa's race. Like the multiple little attacks that really just broke people to pieces. Kim Lacourt was the first to blow apart off the back of that group, and she was able to ride back to 4th and pass Kasia in the end. But yeah, for a little while it looked like Kasia was the only one who was going to be able to hold on to Elisa's wheel until she spectacularly blew. Niamh Fisher-Black also had a spectacular implosion. But Elisa, man, she just has a great time racing her bike. Like you could tell she was just having so much fun, and I think she played it really smart in those micro attacks, because even when someone like Kasia could catch back up to her, she would just immediately dig again, and they couldn't keep the pace.
And poor Kasia, I mean, I have to say, like,
it was cruel.
It's pretty obvious when she's hurting. Like, you see Elisa look back, you see Cassie's face, and you're like, any moment now,
and it's going
and
again.
Then she just whacked her. And it was done. It was game over for Kasia.
For the cover of the newsletter today, I used a picture of like, it's like focused on Kasia, and then like kind of in the blur but closer to the camera, it's Elisa looking over her shoulder, and it's like I saw the picture and I was like, oh my god, this is art.
It's like I feel like that's like Cassia's, like when she's sometimes she's just like so close.
Yeah.
Just so close.
Man, she used to work on the poker face.
I know.
Poker face.
I don't know if you can do poker face.
Don't show your head.
Like brilliant.
Yeah,
whenever I watch stuff like that, I'm always like, I would love to know how that would feel being Elisa. Like to have that control.
Yeah.
When you're, at threshold. Oh, it's just amazing to watch when you can't really do that yourself. Like, and even when I was super fit, like I was never that rider, and just watching that being like, oh, I wonder how that feels.
I mean, like Elisa just keeps getting better and better like every year. I feel like every year she there's a new strength that she is able to unlock, and every single year there's like something new and exciting about her in the races.
It's like it's really, UAE is an outfit. I know we talked about them a lot through TDU, but UAE is an outfit. They've got young riders, but they have an exemplary like stable of experienced riders, like with Elisa and Marby. Like I think I interviewed Domi for an article that will write eventually on her goals for the 2026 season, and like the amount of confidence and like good culture that team has cultivated seems to be holding them in really good stead. And yes, this is their world championships. Yes, this is their like home sponsor race. Yes, there was probably an aspect of them targeting it, but to be this styled in February is really impressive. Not just from like I'm not talking from a physiological perspective. I'm talking from like a teamwork perspective.
No, it does. It appears from the outside and also knowing the inside a little bit that the culture in that team is really good. Particularly since Eliza has come across. I think all the athletes are really happy and content and don't want to move anywhere. The performance team just keeps getting better and better. And the money just keeps coming in too. So
But a lot of it, I think, has to do with like Melissa Moncada, who runs the team. Like she's put so much heart into the team, and I think that she's a huge part of why the culture of that team. You know, you would think a team sponsored by UAE, a women's team sponsored by UAE, like there are some red flags there, but I think that the women that actually run that team, like with Sherry Pridham as one of the DSs,
Yana Seal.
Yeah, like it's just they have such an incredible team of women running the team, a women's team, and that does a lot. I feel like it's created a really positive environment that I have yet to hear a rider say anything negative about that team. Like most of the riders I know on the team are very quick to praise a lot of aspects of the team.
Well, and this is just a great example of what happens when you have experienced women in management positions. And they have a lot of fantastic men working in that team, but the key here is that there are women in management positions.
Yeah, their press officer is a gem. He's really funny.
He's great. Giorgio.
Yeah. He's really great. He's no Tebow, but yeah, no one.
No one's Tebow.
No, only Tebow is Tebow.
Tebow, we love you.
I don't know if he listens to the podcast anymore.
Surely. He's still working for the team.
I haven't heard from him in forever.
For the listeners, this is the
Thank God he's still working for the team. Yeah. FDJ United Suez. I'm going to forget the United for at least 2 months of the season. Anyway, so back to the race. Lisa Longoborghini with the win. An impressive second place for Monica Trinca-Colonel, who we talked about a lot last year as being a rider to watch. I think she'll be pretty thrilled with this second place, 12 seconds behind Longoborghini. Femke de Vries from Visma Lease Bike in third. Another really impressive ride, and she's a rider who's been around for a while. She's been on Visma Lease Bike. She signed as a stagiaire in 2024, and then last year was her first full season with the team. Actually, I was looking at her stats, and Loren, she was on that Dutch Loving Potatoes team.
Loving Potatoes.
You talked about. Yeah. But she, at 31 years old, you know, this is like a really impressive breakout
31.
performance in a
Yeah.
Like I was looking at her stats, and I mean she's got some really great results. Second at Ardèche last year, but I think she's a rider who I think we're going to talk about a lot more this season with a result like this early in the year. Like you only get. In theory, she's only going to get more fit as the season goes on. No one's really peaking for the UAE Tour, and everyone is fit. But, you know, there's like bigger races to come that will be more important for all of these riders. So I'm excited to see what both Monica Trinca-Colonel and Femke de Vries can carry from this result into the rest of the season. Everyone's nodding.
Yeah, just thinking about the other mentionable, I think the white jersey went to Chioboko from Picnic Post-NL, so that was a great result for her. She was really pleased with that performance, and I'm sure the team is as well.
Steffi Haberlin.
Yeah,
had a good ride. Like despite Van der Bergen scratching, like she picked up the mantle pretty well. And like,
man, I really like do a double take when I see her in the Swiss jersey. Like,
yeah,
I expect it to be on either Reusser or Noemi Ruig, and so every time she's in there, I'm like, who the heck is that?
Also, Persico, like think back to Yusko had a ripper ride. She probably wasn't as high up as she was last year, but she still had a pretty notably good ride. I just want to touch on another fact, like Marvi Garcia from Jayco, she came third last year at the UAE Tour. and Monica came second this year, and it's as close to a home race as we get for the Alula sponsor for the team. So I wonder if that's also a reason why Live Alula Jayco like tends to go a bit harder at this race than normal, because Patrick O'Connell was flying.
Yeah.
I mean, I think she also will take how her season went last year and how well her season went, and want to do better this year. And that can, I mean, the season she had last year can lead to some very motivating base miles during the winter. Well, UAE Tour, one of the better additions, I thought. And now we have one weekend off of World Tour racing before opening weekend on February 28th. However, it is Setmana Valenciana this weekend, February 12th to the 15th. 4 stages, a lot of climbing. And I wrote in the newsletter the list of World Tour teams that are on the start list. And there are many. Pretty much all the top teams will be there. So it's a race worth keeping an eye on. However, it interferes with all of the Winter Olympics coverage that I'm now going to force everyone to listen to. Although, okay, so I was chatting with a friend over on Friday or whatever about Jessie Diggins, as I do. And we were talking about like riders who, like how cyclists and speed skaters, like there's a lot of crossover between the two. And then I was thinking about, man, what World Tour riders would be able to cross over to other sports in the Winter Olympics. And, you know, I don't know.
I'm going to hold you
What
there
could
for a
they
second.
do?
Once you run through this list, because I love this game, then you have to assign each of us.
Yeah, I was about to say that as well.
So now you're going to have to think as you run through this list, because I really like what you put down here. I want to hear
I was like, what am
we
I?
would be good at. Yeah.
I was doing this in the middle of the night because my child was as sick as I am. So not much sleep was had. And so in the middle of the night, I was like, oh man, Niamh Fisher-Black would be really good at pairs ice skating. That was my thought. That was my 2 a.m. brain. Okay, no, so I've got Niamh Fisher-Black pairs ice skating because she's got the physique, you know? Like, if you look at all the pairs ice skating couples, it's like a 6'2" guy and like a 5' girl because they get thrown around. So Niamh, you know, she's vertically challenged. So she would be just a phenomenal pairs ice skater. I find the T-tiers would probably suit curling quite well. It is a precision sport. Millimeters make all the difference in the world. So, you know, you got to be thinking about every single tiny detail. So Marlon Reusser and Rihanna Marcus, I think, would be phenomenal curlers.
Also the posture, like, you know how they
yeah. Exactly. TT posture, curling posture. There you go.
Can do it at your 90s.
Lisa Longoborghini would be a great Nordic skier. Her mom went to 2 Winter Olympics, so this one was like low-hanging fruit, I feel. But I think Elise Shabby would also be quite good at Nordic skiing if she ever wanted to make that switch. She's already switched one sport, you know,
like
why not?
Done it. I feel like she's done it because
Nordic skiing?
Well, yeah, because as a rower, a lot of rowers, particularly those who live in snowy areas,
actually, you know what?
Skied for off-season.
I'm going to go one further and say that Elise Shabby should do biathlon.
Yeah.
Nordic skiing with guns. This is potentially one of my favorites. She's fearless. She is crazy. Brodie Chapman, skeleton.
Yeah. And she'd have a sick helmet too.
Fuck. I mean, I feel like that one's a no-brainer. Like, she should actually do that. Amanda Spratt, ski mountaineering. I think she'd be really good at it. I think she'd be really good. You run up a hill and then you ski down it. Like, what's not to love? The running up the stairs with the skis on your back. I can't wrap my head around that. My mom was like, oh, you should try to go to the Winter Olympics for ski mountaineering. And then I watched one of the World Cups and they put their skis on their back and run upstairs. And I was like, no. Hard pass. I don't ever want to do that. I don't do cyclocross for a reason. There's a few hockey players in the mix, and I think like you could say Lorena Wiebes would be good at like speed skating. I think that's like too easy. because she in the peloton, you know, she's like, you got to be able to get in and out of people. Lorena Wiebes, hockey. Noemi Ruig, I think she'd be good at hockey. Lily Williams, because if she
Baby G.
if she
Baby
if
G
she
would be
shoulder
good.
checked a person, they would fly. Yeah, Baby G.
Would be terrifying.
Should be up all around your feet.
Hey, Italy just qualified for their first ever semifinal in hockey. So, you know, she could do it. Anyway, Elisa Balsamo, mass start speed skating. I think she'd be great at it. The sprinters always are, you know. Kashani Udoma downhill skiing. She doesn't have the body for it. Unfortunately, she is a little too petite for a downhill skier, but she's got the fearlessness, you know. Kira Consoni figure skating. This is based mostly on vibes. I don't know.
On vibes?
But
okay.
yeah,
It's
because
I wouldn't have gone there personally, but
because they've always got the figure skaters. They've always got the nails. They've got the makeup dialed. They've, you know, they're they're very vibes.
Tats, you know.
Yeah, heaps of them have got tats.
Yeah,
this time.
there's.
Yeah.
Have you not seen the 3 US figure skaters?
I'm in Australia.
One of them has the
I'm in
piercing
Australia.
on
The
her.
time difference.
Okay,
Just
you
watch
need to
the
just
highlights.
Google the Blade Angels.
I need to watch
No,
the
just
highlights.
Google Blade Angels.
I'm gonna Google
And
it
you'll
right now.
understand what I'm talking about. Yeah. Bobsled. Charlotte Cool, Clara Capone, because, you know, the sprinting, but then you also need to curl up in a ball. And someone else has added Pfeiffer Georgie speed skating. I love that. Wait, did I add that? I might have added that in my sleepless. Anyway, that's my list.
All right,
So
Abby,
if anyone has any
next list.
additions.
Waiting for it.
Well, okay. I feel like this is too easy. Georgie's already got the haircut for hockey.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
And like
It's
and
too
I
easy.
feel like I've got like, you know how like one of my favorite things on social media right now is like watching the PWHL being mic'd up.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is one of my favorite things, and I feel like I'd be great mic'd up.
Yeah, you would.
You would.
A little too good, probably. Like, shut that girl up. Just heckling the whole
Guilty as
time.
charged. Yeah, that's me.
I'm gonna throw Loren into bobsled because I think
Bobsled?
you've got because I think you've got a pretty powerful like sprint on you, and then you just like you could captain the bobsled team, like you'd be on the back. I think.
Okay.
At least I think the captain is on the back. Is it like crew? Anyway, I think that works. I like
Cool Runnings.
that.
Go back to Cool Runnings. Where was Cool Runnings? He was in the front.
Oh, okay, Cool Runnings, great
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
Freaking phenomenal
Great
movie.
movie.
Also, the Jamaican bobsled team in the opening ceremonies, they were a vibe.
Yeah.
Like, so good. Okay. Gracie, I feel like you're tougher.
I've got one for Gracie.
Ooh, hit me with. I mean, I would say speed skating. Like, I think you'd be really good at speed skating, like the mass start speed skating that Mia does, because it's like you have to be patient. You have to be patient, and you have to read the race really well, and then go like at the exact right moment. So I
Yeah.
think you'd be pretty good at the mass start.
Yeah, I
speed
need
skating.
a little bit of tactics.
That's a really lactating
I'm not a purist.
sport though, too. Right?
I'll take it.
I hope I did okay. I'm excited to dive into the Discord when this episode comes out with everyone else's ideas on what winter sports.
I'm slightly disappointed.
Slightly
I'm
disappointed.
slightly disappointed with the bobsled.
What would
putting
you
out there.
choose?
Bobsled
Lauren?
is sick.
Why? I mean, the coolest one, of course, like the half pipe
Yeah.
snowboarder. Of course.
Oh, I didn't
Never
even
skied or
consider
snowboarded in my
that
life,
an
but-
Olympic sport. I didn't even consider that an Olympic sport. One of my friends sent me a meme that was like, skiers, 2% body fat, train 23 hours a day. Something else. And then the snowboarders, I only smoked this much weed today, holds up a mitten.
Oh, you got to watch the Scotty James. What was he? Chelsea Handler. I think she did an interview with him, and she was like, "So, what is the beef between snowboarders and skiers?" And he's like, "Man, that's just all the skiers. Like, snowboarders have no beef with skiers."
That's definitely true.
I love
There's
him.
a lot of beef. I take it back. Loren, you can be a half pipe snowboarder.
Yes.
You can have that one.
Yes.
I'll give it to you. I think you'd be great at it.
I'd
Should've
have
given
the
it to her
energy and
first time.
spirit, but I would probably suck. Like, honestly.
You guys can't assign me winter sports because winter sports are my life. So I already have them.
No.
I pick ski mountaineering for you, Abby.
Yeah.
No. No.
No,
Because actually, I think
I
you would be
really-
really good at that.
Yeah, you would.
Well,
You know,
I'm doing a race next winter, so we'll see.
can we talk about Lindsey Vonn and
Mhm.
the practice of competing whilst injured?
Yeah, we totally can.
And she's finally spoken now.
Well, look,
it was-
okay, in my very experienced opinion, I raced alpine skis for most of my pre-college life and watch a ton of skiing, and like, okay, for one, I feel like a lot of the chatter around Lindsey Vonn was that she decided to race with a torn ACL. She came back from retirement specifically for that race. Like, she came back for the downhill in Cortina. There was no other race that she had like marked as a target race for her to do. So with all of that, all of the work put into that, all of the time and dedication dedicated to that, nothing else really going like there. She's not, I think that a lot of athletes who have families think a lot differently when there is injury on the line, like the impact it'll have on those around you. Lindsay doesn't have that burden, I guess, of having other priorities in her life. And she is a skier. She's one of the best alpine skiers in history for a reason. And of course, she decided she was going to ski. That was her decision. And the crash was not because of the ACL. Like, I've watched it multiple times. When it happened, I was like, I almost threw up. I felt sick to my stomach. She was taking the most aggressive line that she possibly could and caught the gate with her arm, and it spun her around. It wasn't because of her ACL. Like, I feel like this is something that always happens when the Olympics roll around and there's so many more people watching than in normal, like in just the normal sporting year, that there's so much like couch commentary on it. And I was talking to Neil Rogers about it, and he was saying like he thinks it's bots that are like a lot of the like driving the hate and the discourse. Yeah.
To be fair, I haven't
like,
seen any of that. It was just a topic that I saw come up. I was like,
Oh man,
Yeah,
it's been all over my algorithm.
really?
yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know why. Like, I need to stop. I went through a period where I just didn't read into things because you're always going to get commentary, right? Like, Orla put up a post yesterday discussing her thoughts about it, and then, she had all these comments from cyclists who have probably just tuned in for the first time ever watching snow sports. And I was telling my husband, I'm like, oh, have you been following the discourse on Lindsey Vonn? And he doesn't buy into this sort of stuff. And he goes, no, what about it? And I said, yeah, everyone's saying that she shouldn't have raced and this and that. And he's like, well, what the fuck do they know? Are they an athlete? Were they
exactly.
there
Like,
on the day? It was her
Yeah.
decision, and she decided to get into the gates. And no one knows what was going on with her. No one knows except for her and her team and the decision that she made. And again, it was her decision. So it's like, and like you said, Abby, the day before she was training and did 2 runs. So it had nothing to do with the previous injury that people keep referring to. It's just, like you said, she was going for gold.
Yeah.
And had a horrific crash. The sadness
yeah.
around it is the fact that there's been so much negative commentary that it took away from the women who had phenomenal runs and a Breezy who won gold.
Breezy Johnson, her story is almost like, I mean, I was really bummed about how much there was around Lindsay and the crash, that Breezy's win like almost got a bit overshadowed because she had to pull out of the last Olympics. And so this was like such a huge comeback story for her to be able to take gold, and one of the like few out athletes for the USA at the Winter Olympics. that aren't hockey players. And like, it was just a huge story for her and a huge success for her. And she's such an incredible human being. And like such a great role model. And so like really thrilled to see Breezy take the win. But I think like for Lindsay, there's a reason she is one of the best alpine skiers of all time. And she proved that when she got into that starting gate. And I also think that the crash and the fact that she decided to race with the torn ACL took away from everything she accomplished this year as a 41-year-old back on the World Cup circuit after having been retired for 6 years, because everything she accomplished this year up until that crash in Cruz, Montana, where she tore her ACL, like everything she did is just incredible. And like what she represents now, before this incident, I mean, it's huge for female athletes, for women over 35. Like,
I think just for honestly, for humanity in general, like if you can take away a lesson from that. And there's like a beautiful quote that she said, I hope if you take anything away from my journey, it's that you all have the courage to dare greatly. Life is too short not to take chances on yourself, because the only failure in life is not trying. And that just goes for all aspects of life. And that's the beauty of sport, isn't it? The lessons that we can learn as spectators, whether you've competed or not, is these amazing stories that luckily we get to see the Olympics every 2 years, because we get the winter and the summer. So
I did say to Tom's, I wish they could have the Winter Olympics every year. And he was like, I think that might take away the whole point.
That's too much, Abby.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
I would encourage people to go and read her whole post about it, because I think, yes, the quote that you read, Loren, was really nice, but the whole post isn't that much longer, but it's quite relatable. And I think Olympic athletes are a bit unrelatable in some ways to the general public, even though we love watching them. And, you know, we think they're amazing. In some ways, I think a lot of people think, well, I could never do that, so I don't fully understand what they're going through, or that person got a gold medal, cool. If they've got a good backstory, that makes it better. But when you see someone not achieve Olympic gold who maybe should have or could have, I think that was such a powerful message that she was trying to say with her post. So I'm not going to paraphrase it, but I think all of us can take something away from that of, like, even if you don't get the thing that you were trying to get, at least you try. And it's really cliche, but she just wrote it really beautifully. And I think, like, I'm lucky that I am an Olympian. And even then I struggle sometimes watching the Olympics and seeing people take the medals, because I didn't get to do that part. And it's like, and especially if you don't know the stories behind the medals, and like media is so much better nowadays that we do know a lot of people's stories, and that makes it more exciting, more meaningful, more relatable. But gold medalists in general aren't that relatable. And I think when someone doesn't quite get there, it almost makes them more interesting and more relatable. So I don't know, didn't quite articulate that well, but like, go and read the post. I think it's helpful in a lot of ways.
It's really beautifully said from both of you, actually. But I think as a society, like we just see the achievement, we just see the end. We just see like the medal around the neck, or the millisecond difference between getting there and not. We don't see like everything that leads up to that. And I think like to be a true champion, and I think where the damage gets done in sport, in retirement, for instance, or in not quite getting there, is when, as an athlete, you do just focus on the outcome. Like there, you don't find parts of that joy that you'll get from standing on the podium and every single day that you do your sport. Because that, like, I learned that the hard way, I think, that I, particularly in rowing, like I just had the Olympics as my goal and I just missed it. And then it broke me, and I don't think I gave it the credence the time that I probably should have in grieving that. But equally, I know Olympic gold medalists who grieve not reliving that moment again. So I think when you put so much of yourself into something for so long, And in your mind, you think you've sacrificed so much, but in reality, it's a choice. It's hard if you don't have a healthy relationship and if you don't see that outcome, parts of that outcome in every day of the process, then it's you can really start to resent. Yeah, I don't know if I articulated that very well.
No, you did. You put that quite beautifully, and I think maybe that's why as well with some athletes that we see have these long careers. Let's think of cycling, Elisa Borghini, and have had this sort of consistency to them. It's because she obviously loves the process and trusts in the process, and it's not just about that end goal, like you were saying, Georgie. And I think I always draw it back to life in general, but I think sometimes we are focused too much on that end result. And there's so much more pressure as well from what we see, what's shoved down our throats through social media and media, that just people that you look at online, you often see the end result, the beautiful thing that they've done, but you don't see the seconds and minutes and all the hard work that's sort of gone into that moment. And like you said, the sacrifice too.
Yeah, and it's difficult. Like, it's difficult. I think I've said this on the podcast before, but like a very good friend of mine called me I think just before the Tokyo Games, and she was a US rower at the national team. And like, for those that don't know, like the US women's 8, you're pretty, if you're in that for a long period of time, not so much in like the Tokyo, London era of the Olympics, but for a long period of time, if you were in the women's 8 for the US, you were getting a gold medal. So it was like highly contested. And she called me 3 months before the Tokyo Games, and she's like, "No, I'm not doing this anymore." And I was like, "Oh shit! Like, what do you mean? Like, why? What do you mean you're not doing it anymore?" And she said, "Yeah, I just realized I'm not. A medal's not going to be going to make me happy, and I'm not happy now. So there are greater things. Like, I'm not enjoying this." Like, it's like that, and that took a huge amount of self-awareness and strength. But kind of also, like, if I kind of just thought about this right now, but like, if you think about that, she's also like rebelling against so much of what our culture tells her she needs to focus on, which is getting that Olympic gold medal. But she has had enough self-awareness to kind of flip that and be like, but that's not my life. That's going to be my life for a minute. Why is that the pinnacle, when shouldn't living a good life that I want to live be the pinnacle? And I'm not happy doing this thing right now. So that's not me living a good life.
It is really crazy how much, like, for athletes, how much is put on the Olympics, and how you can define your career, no matter how, successful it is, as being a failure or a success based purely on the Olympics. And like Gracie said, like, it's not even like, for a lot of athletes, it's not even going to the Olympics or not going to the Olympics. It's medaling or not medaling. And even those who have medaled, like, don't. And I talked to Anna Henderson about this. The come down after she medaled in the time trial in Paris was really, really hard for her. And I think that she is definitely not the only athlete who will have achieved something that they maybe dreamed of, but didn't think was like actually within their reach, and had a really, really hard time coping mentally with that after the fact. But I mean, I freaking love the Olympics, and like, for me, it's whenever it rolls around, I feel this like gut punch that I was never able to like really try to go to either the Winter or the Summer Olympics, the Winter Olympics. But it is, yeah, it's like, I think that there needs to be a more healthy way for athletes to have for the Olympics to exist, but I don't want the Olympics not to exist. Like, they have this, they're very controversial in a lot of ways, and the environmental impact, like the money that's thrown around, like, there's a lot of issues with the Olympics that don't have to do with sport. But I also, like, I don't want them to go anywhere, because it's like, for 2 weeks of the year, the entire world tunes in to watch Jessie Diggins race the freaking skiathlon. Like, I don't want that to change because it's that tiny little bit that might get somebody hooked on Nordic skiing who hadn't really cared before. And now we've got a new fan, and we need fans for sport to even exist. And so in that way, like, the Olympics are really, really important to athletics, like all sports. I mean, heck, I didn't even know rugby sevens existed until Lona Mar.
Yeah, sport is so powerful. Like, it's what brings people together. It's part of humanity.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
but it comes at a cost.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, but now I'm like putting my like sport business hat on, and I'm thinking about, for instance, like you got the Rugby World Cup next year, which if you want to buy tickets and you're in Australia, please make sure you register your account and validate your email for the pre-sale that goes online next. Is that appropriate? I don't know. Like, you're thinking about how like the Rugby World Cup will go. It's in Australia next year for the men. Women will play 2029 in Australia, and then it goes to the US for 2031 with the men and 2033 for the women. And so you got to think like, okay, well, Lorena Mayer is she started in Tokyo. She started the awareness of rugby in that country already, like 11 years out from the World Cup, which is quite phenomenal. Like rugby, like when I was at university, rugby, and still is, really just a club sport. It's not even an NCAA sport. And yet it's got such a huge, it's not played professionally. And yet it's got such a huge awareness now in the domestic, US domestic market, purely from social media. Because someone became really, prolific around the Olympics, to your point, Abby, and introduced a whole new motorsport to the world that they didn't know existed. And that has massive knock-on effects.
And I mean, I just keep seeing like part of it is the algorithm, obviously, but like I just keep seeing social media posts of people who are discovering Jessie Diggins for the first time. And they're like, I don't know who this person is, but because of the post she put on Instagram about like the America that she's representing when she goes to the Olympics and her beliefs, that people are becoming fans of her. And like, I just like, if there's one person in the world I want my daughter to look up to, it's Jessie Diggins for like a long list of reasons. And I'm like, it brings me so much joy that today she's racing as we're recording this in the classic sprint, and Lila wanted to go to school with glitter on her cheeks today, which is a Jessie Diggins signature. And like that just, man, like I just know growing up that my heroes were all women in sports, but because there was no live coverage or anything other than the Olympics, like I never got to watch women in sports. Like we watched the Tour de France every year. There was no women's race on TV. Like I didn't know that there was a women's race when I was little, and so I don't know. I just feel like it's such a huge opportunity for so much. I wish that it wasn't exploited in the way that it is, but like, I feel like you can get wrapped up in all of that, or you can, for just a couple weeks, just enjoy the athletics, and then you can be angry for the other 3 years and 3.5 years about all of the crap that is going on in the world and everything. And I'm just, this Olympics is a little bit tainted because of all the freaking idiots, like it's been amazing to see a lot of the American athletes speaking out, and just really depressing to see the backlash that they're getting. And like Hunter Hess, like I made the huge mistake of opening his comment section yesterday and then cried myself to sleep. But like, athletes are really important. Yeah. Anyway. Rant over.
No, that was a fruitful rant though, and timely.
Listeners, you can tell that we care a lot about some of this stuff. And this is what we would talk about if we're at the coffee shop. I don't think we would have said anything differently.
Oh well, you missed like the hour of pre-chat. That was some good pre-chat.
Yeah.
And poor Georgie is suffering from it now.
We were talking about Bad Bunny in the Super Bowl halftime show.
Exactly.
In the pre-chat. Yeah, that was great. That was a great conversation. Yeah. Well, speaking of the Winter Olympics, today is an abundance of riches. Tuesday, we've got the U.S.-Canada game on later, women's hockey.
6:10 a.m. for those listening in Australia.
For the Aussies, yep. 8 p.m. for anyone in Europe, which is our smallest listening base, I'm pretty sure. But it's going to be a great day. Classic sprint, women's combined alpine, which means that one person skis the downhill and one person skis the slalom. And we have the U.S. combination of Breezy Johnson, Olympic gold medalist, and Michaela Schifrin, the GOAT. So that's pretty cool. That's exciting. Breezy is currently leading the downhill as we're recording this. I'm very excited. I freaking love winter sports, man. I love it.
I will have
Give
it
me ice
in the background
all day long.
Got my HBO subscription back last week, and now it's just sport again.
All right, I might go turn it on if I don't fall asleep.
Yeah, but Georgie, you have to wake up in the morning and watch your people.
It's true.
Your people.
They are.
Your mullet people.
Does Australia even have like a hockey team? Can you somehow get an Australian hockey jersey?
I mean,
it is a thing. Yeah, there's a great team actually in Brisbane that the founder of Black Sheep, his wife plays for it, Johnny. There you go.
Oh, cool.
No, I know that. Yeah,
epic.
She's Canadian.
That's awesome.
I think.
There you go. There's your people.
Women's hockey is on the rise. I'm telling you. Yeah. It's awesome. Okay. Anyway, thanks everyone so much for listening to this podcast episode. We will be back next week to talk about more fun stuff. Enjoy the Winter Olympics. I know I will be.
And before you tune off, Abby has one final thing to ask the listeners.
Oh, right. Sorry, I forgot. Everything that we talk about before the podcast starts, it kind of is like a black void for me. I mean, I obviously like it goes in, but then when we start recording, I have to put on my podcast host hat and I become quite focused, if that makes sense. And then like an hour, something, anyway, not the point. Some of the listeners may have noticed that we have created a Wheel Talk Podcast Instagram page. None of us here are like super good at social media. So this is a call to the listeners and specifically to those who really care about the product that we make with the Wheel Talk podcast and are engaged on the Wheel Talk Discord. We are looking for somebody to help run our Instagram page. So if you have any interest in that, please reach out to me on Instagram or on Discord. We really want someone who's maybe a longtime listener of the podcast, who understands women's cycling, and who wants to become part of the team and help us run the social media account. So hit me up, and can't wait to hear from you.
Join us.
Good.
Awesome.
That was good.
Join us.
One
of us.
You get free merch. Free merch.
We don't have any merch.
Free merch.
You
get free merch.
We don't have merch yet, but we will, and it'll be great.
No, we're getting merch. We are getting merch.
We are not begging.
Merch
I swear
is
we're
coming.
Not begging.
Merch is coming, and as soon as the merch comes, you will have it.
That's really the only resource that we have.
The first one.
To pay.
Yeah, we're not weird. Not at all. We're ending the podcast. I need to go watch downhill skiing. Thanks everyone for listening. We will be back next week.
This episode was produced, edited, and mixed by Will Jones at Red Bricks Media.